Hi, everyone. Welcome to, I believe it's the 9th annual Brown Bag Speaker Series here at the library. We have a interesting lineup of events. In October, we're going to have an author of a book called City in the Fields, Multicultural Themes in Modern California Literature. In November, we're having somebody from the Red Oak Victory Ship to talk about the restoration of that. And in December, we'll be having the East Bay Regional Parks. So if you'd like reminders about upcoming programs, there is a sign-up sheet in the back, and I can send you email. And if you enjoyed today's event and would like to tell a friend about it who might not have been able to come, it will be broadcast on local TV station KALB Thursday at 6, Saturday at 11 a.m., and Sunday at 4 p.m., and it will also be on YouTube. So for today, I'm pleased to announce the visit of Rosemary Gong. She's the author of Good Luck Life. It's a book about Chinese American celebrations. And today she's going to tell us about the Mid-Autumn Moon Festival. Welcome, Rosemary.
Thank you so much. I'm delighted and honored to be here at the Albany Public Library. It's the first time that I've been here, and what a great brown bag lunch you have. It's amazing what goes on during the course of the day. I'd like to give special acknowledgement to Vivian for all of her coordination efforts to invite me here. And before I start about the Mid-Autumn Moon Festival, I'll just give you a little bit of background about myself. Before I developed and wrote my book, Good Luck Life, I never would have envisioned being a Chinese cultural expert. And it's because I grew up in a really small town in the Central Valley of California. And that town is Riverbank. Have any of you heard of Riverbank? Well, Riverbank is about 10 miles from Modesto, and if you know Oakdale and Escalon, it's about 5 miles from each of those towns. And when I was growing up there in the 60s, it had a population of about 7,000, and my family was the only Chinese family in that town. And then so I grew up with no Chinese lessons or ribbon, dancing, or we barely had martial arts when I was growing up. And then after I graduated from college and I went to school at San Jose State, I moved to San Francisco, and I happened to live right around the corner from my grandparents in San Francisco's Chinatown. And it was there where I got reconnected with my Chinese culture. Now, I'm a third-generation Chinese American, and what that means is that my grandfather immigrated here from the Guangzhou area, the Guangdong province, and he did that in 1920. I myself can say about 29 words of Cantonese, and many of those words are not worth repeating. As you can probably tell, I speak like an American, I act like an American, and I admit I even think like an American, but I'm also Chinese, and I wasn't willing to toss away that side of me. And then in 2001, my grandfather had passed away, and he was the last of his generation, and it was in his passing that was a catalyst for me to write my book, Good Luck Life. And I did this when I couldn't find anything like it in the bookstores. I was looking for something to help me remember the Chinese traditions that I grew up with. Things like the Chinese festivals, the Chinese New Year, or the Lunar New Year, as it's more politically correct now in terms of referring to it, because there are many other Asian ethnicities that also celebrate the Lunar New Year, the 2-week holiday that happens usually around the end of January and February, which is the biggest celebration for Asians of the year. And then we also acknowledge the Dragon Boat Festival. Are you familiar with the Dragon Boat Festivals? Yeah, well, in the home, we would prepare zheng, which is sticky rice wrapped in bamboo leaves, which are right depicted on the bottom there. And the Dragon Boat Festival sometimes is confusing in terms of when it actually occurs. In Chinese, it's considered the double fifth day 5th lunar month, which usually falls around the end of May, the beginning of June. But it's highly confusing because the dragon boat races, that, competitive season runs anywhere from February to November. So there are dragon boat festivals that are happening all throughout those 9 months. And so the San Francisco's Treasure Island Dragon Boat Festival will be occurring in September 20th, 21st. If you've not gone, it's lots of fun, lots of family activities, lots of booths, lots of qualifying racing that's going on, because these race teams travel internationally to compete. And ultimately, at the end of the racing season, usually in November, they are competing internationally, and those races are typically held either in Asia or Europe. Other celebrations that we would acknowledge were Ming and Chong. These are the memorial holidays that we would go out to the cemeteries and we would sweep and prepare the graves for the upcoming season or the following season. So Ming is held in the spring, and Chong is considered double ninth, which is held right around a little bit before Thanksgiving in November. Now, there were also the milestones of life that we would celebrate in Chinese fashion. So there were the Chinese weddings. Have you attended Chinese weddings? Yeah. Well, they're, celebrated with great fanfare, and there's all types of information, the phoenix and the dragon, a lot of various symbology that kind of goes around and bringing these couples together and the uniting of the families, and also big banquet celebrations. Also, there is the milestone celebrations of welcoming a new child, a new infant into a family, the red egg and ginger party, and also into the extended community, and also the longevity birthday, those big decade birthdays. And this is honoring reaching the age of wisdom. Does anyone want to take a wild guess as to when the age of wisdom begins? Age 50. 50. Yeah. So, every 10 years from 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, that we celebrate in just, again, lots of food, multiple courses, Chinese banquets. But these are, our 3 huge milestone celebrations. Now, let's take a small poll by a show of hands. Who here makes wishes when you see a shooting star? Yay! Who makes wishes before blowing out the candles on a birthday cake? Yes! And then, is there anyone here who makes wishes on the mid-autumn moon, the full moon? Well, the Chinese are known to make silent wishes during the full moon and to the moon goddess on the night of the moon festival, which is the 15th day of the 8th lunar month. Now, this year, it started September 6th. It ran from the 6th to the 8th. And it was the old Emperor's Dowager, Cixi, who had designated that the festival would not just be a single day, but over the course of 3 days when the moon was full for those 3 days. So usually we have 3 days to get the family together and have, a small reunion. And this is known to be the time when the moon is in closest proximity to the earth, and that's why it's considered the biggest and the fullest moon of the year. And in fact, I had read that, this is like a supermoon. So it's especially significant. And the supermoon, NASA had released that, we've had 3 supermoons in a row beginning in July, August, and September are supermoons. And supermoons just mean that the moon's orbit is closer to the Earth, and it's pegged to be about 30% brighter than a normal full moon. Now, symbolically, the moon is the soul of the festival, the full roundness, and it symbolizes the unity of a family circle, the cycle of life, and the old folklore of connecting past to present. And in the old days, the old agrarian society of China, families would gather because it was a celebration of the completion of the harvest. After families had toiled in the fields for a few months, it was time when they would gather back together and be reunited from the work in the fields. And when I was growing up, I remembered my family would get together for dinner at my grandparents' house, and we'd have a mini reunion. The entire extended family would be there, of aunts and uncles and lots of cousins. Now, for dinner, there are popular dishes that we would have. And one of the popular dishes is taro. Are you familiar with taro? Yeah, taro is that starchy vegetable. It's very commonly used in Hawaiian poi and a variety of Chinese dim sum dishes. And so I guess you could consider it like a cousin of the potato family. There's a 12th century legend that taro was discovered on the evening of the Mid-Autumn Festival during the Ming Dynasty. And there were soldiers who were defending China's coastline, and the supplies were running short. And so those soldiers were digging in the ground to try and find something to eat. And the moon was so bright that they found taro. And they dug taro up from the ground, and they were able to cook it. It's nourishing fare, kind of stick to the ribs type of fare. And it nourished them to the point of saving them from starvation. And that's why taro is significant during the Mid-Autumn Moon Festival. Now, my family would enjoy it with duck, and so you can see, taro is there with duck. Also, this picture up here is taro slices with pork. And then there are some dim sum dishes, taro cake. This is in the far end here. And then in the center, the taro dumplings, the fried dumplings. And then taro that's sauteed in clay below. And then this is a picture of taro as you can see it at the Asian market. So it very much kind of looks like a part of the potato and yam family. Now, another specialty that my grandmother would serve, and I never thought a whole lot about it because, my grandmother would always serve different dishes for different holidays, but they would be sauteed snails. Now, we were kids, we loved them, They put them in front of us, we'd suck those morsels out, of the open end of their shells, and they would be wrapped in black bean sauce, and I swear anything in black bean sauce is really tasty. So we really enjoyed them. But I also learned that snails are considered, a traditional Cantonese dish because they resolved a conflict between two neighboring farmers in the Guangdong province. And so this is a southern province that's very close to Guangzhou, or also known as Canton. And there were two farmers that were fighting. And these two, the farmers' fields had been plagued with the slimy pests. And, there was a multiplying snail population, and each farmer thought that the best way to do away with these pests is to gather them up and dump them into their neighbors' fields. So, of course, the conflict escalated. The two farmers found themselves right in front of a Ching dynasty magistrate. And the magistrate had settled this dispute by having his cooks prepare the mollusks and serve them to the unsuspecting farmers. And the farmers loved them, and since that time, they became tasty morsels and a culinary regional favorite. Now, mooncakes. Are we familiar with mooncakes? In fact, a gentleman who had mentioned on the way, when I was coming in, that he had seen all these mooncakes displayed at Costco in a variety, an array. And of course, during the Mid-Autumn Festival, mooncakes and dessert is the main event. And they're shared under the full moon. Mooncakes symbolize heavenly blessings of longevity and good health. And their roundness means completion and unity. They often come with an egg yolk in the center, which represents the moon. And boxes of mooncakes are widely given as gifts to families and friends and to business associates. It's a way of being able to show gratitude for one another. It's kind of, in terms of business, it's kind of a symbol of an extension of your good relationship, your full rounded relationship. And it's also a great way to earn brownie points with the in-laws. So So mooncakes come in, there'll be a single yolk. You can buy them in single yolk, double yolk, or triple yolk. The more yolk, supposedly, the better culturally. Now, there are a wide variety of mooncakes. They usually contain various sweet fillings of black bean or brown bean paste, lotus seed, sugared melon, or dried fruit and nuts. And the pastry crust is a molasses colored, and there are special decorative designs on them that depict flowers or the folklore characters such as the moon goddess or the jade rabbit. Now, dessert during the Moon Festival is taken al fresco if the weather permits. Otherwise, it's right by the windows so you can look out at the moon. Mooncakes are often stacked in a pyramid of 13. Does anyone want to take a wild guess why? It represents the 13 lunar months of the year. And so it actually symbolizes happiness all year round. Round fruits and snacks are also served, such as the Chinese grapefruit or pomelo, which is depicted here. I know when you buy it, it's pear-shaped, but once you've peeled everything away, it's round-shaped fruit. We also have grapes, Asian pears, apples, pomegranates, melon, longan. Are you familiar with longan? Longan is a fruit like lychee, except for the skin is brown. So you pull the skin away, it's brown, and then it's white fruit in the center, and then there's a seed in the center. Really yummy. And peanuts. Peanuts mean long life. We have these round things also because some of these fruits connote special harmonies. Apples mean peace, pomegranates mean fertility because they sound something similar in terms of similar sounding words that are homonyms, or because of, like with pomegranates, the seeds inside, connote fertility to the Chinese. Hot tea is also essential. Now, mooncakes also played a major role in history, and I'll read to you very shortly how that came. Mooncakes are recognized and honored for the role they played in Chinese history. Instrumental in the overthrow of a cruel Mongol state, Han leader Lo Fuktong used mooncakes to distribute secret messages to his allies. The successful scheme ultimately led to an organized rebellion against the ruling Yuan dynasty, the descendants of Genghis Khan. On the night of 8/15, Lo Fuktong's rebels arranged for every baker and cake peddler to insert into thousands of mooncakes a small piece of paper with a date and time to rise for battle. The message instructed every family to raise a triangular flag with the 7 stars of the Big Dipper and place lit lanterns on the rooftops at night between 11 and 1 o'clock. Villagers were also to beat on drums and gongs. When the Mongol soldiers saw the numerous flags and lights and heard the aggressive drumming, they were fooled into retreating for fear of being outnumbered. The Han leader's clever efforts resulted in the successful revolution that allowed the Ming dynasty to commence its reign in 1368. Today, lanterns are lit in homes and hung out on the night of the full moon to celebrate peace, freedom, and unity. It just seems like how simply they solve these conflicts, right? Really natural and made so much sense and simple. And everyone got involved. So as mentioning, lanterns are especially popular in terms of decorating the home and the patio and the deck when we go out and we enjoy the moon cakes outdoors. Now, the lantern that's especially popular is the horse lantern, and that's because there's an old Chinese saying that the moon travels at the speed of the horse, and given that this is a horse year, it's especially significant. Also, we would decorate with gourds, and as you can see, there's gourds that are painted and decorated with red tassels, and these are very popular to hang within the home too, because gourds they connote long-lasting togetherness. So all of these things that we do carry a symbolic meaning, pretty much, that kind of is the foundation for a holiday. Now, when gazing at the full autumn moon, silent wishes are made to the mythological moon goddess, and she is known as Shang-er. And depending on your language, whether you speak Mandarin or Cantonese, the pronunciation of Shang-er might be slightly different because she's also in Cantonese known as Shang-o. I grew up with her knowing as Shang-o, but nevertheless, it's more Shang-er as we're adopting more of a Pinyin Mandarin style of pronunciation. And she achieved heavenly status when she drank the elixir of immortality. Now, this potion originally belonged to her husband, Hu Yi, and he's extremely famous in Chinese mythology because he's known as the divine archer. And he had received this mythological status because he had shot down 9 threatening suns to the earth. So the heavenly gods had turned to him when these suns were threatening the planet, and he successfully shot down the 9 threatening suns, leaving one to nourish our planet. And when he did this, the Jade Emperor and all the other heavenly gods had given him the elixir of immortality. So he had taken the elixir, he hid it, and away for safekeeping for when he felt that he needed it because he's still relatively young. But his wife discovered it, and she couldn't resist. She took it, and instantaneously she grew weightless and floated out of their palace windows and beyond Hu Yi's grasp. Now, upon arriving on the moon, Shang-er grew ill, and she coughed up the elixir, and this shimmering liquid transformed into a white jade rabbit. And this is noted as the birth of the jade rabbit, or the moon hare, and he is Shang-er's constant companion. So often when you see her depicted, the rabbit is never far away. Now, Hu Yi had no recourse but to accept his wife's fate, and he built her a celestial moon palace in a grove of cinnamon trees like a good husband. And when the heavenly gods heard of the couple's plight, they were saddened, and so they ruled that Shang-er and Hu Yi could be reunited once a month on the 15th day of every lunar month, and this is the full moon. And perhaps this is why in the old days Chinese children are told never to point at the moon, because Shang-er and Hu Yi, well, they might be looking. Now, during the mid-autumn moon, it's said that families separated by distance are reunited in spirit while reflecting on the same moon at the same moment. And there's so many overseas Chinese. The Chinese have fled to so many countries. They're so far flung that, that we would use this by just simply knowing, looking at the moon at this time of year, that we would just simply be able to be reunited by gazing at that very same moon. And during the course of the evening, families would also participate in eating mooncakes and reading poetry. They would reminisce and give thanks, and of course make wishes. So lastly, when I was writing Good Luck Life, I learned that the Chinese say thank you 3 times, so all the realms of existence can be acknowledged for someone's good fortune. And it has indeed been my good fortune to be here with you today. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Now, I have brought some mooncakes for sampling today. And so I have a small plate of mooncakes in the back, and I have, there are 2 flavors there. One is lotus seed, and the other is a black bean paste, a sweet black bean paste. There's no yolk in this, only because, there may be allergies or whatnot. And then the pastry is not gluten-free. I mean, we very much use wheat. So, just be aware if you have any allergies or whatnot, but there are no nuts in these particular varieties. And I have a couple of books with me if you're interested. They're $16. I'm happy to sign. I brought my Chinese chop with me. And if you have any questions, by all means. Yes, please.
So would it be appropriate to get mooncakes any time of the year?
Yeah, I have found that mooncakes are now pretty much available in Chinatown bakeries that really specialize in mooncakes all year round, but we really only gift them during this period of time. Yeah, there are other things we can give away during the other holidays. Yeah. Anyway, yes.
You mentioned hot tea is important. Could you say more about that?
Oh, well, that is kind of the quintessential liquid that we have. And, there are different types of teas that we have and we enjoy. And there are different types of teas that we enjoy that are known to have during dim sum because, there are the stronger varieties like Bole that are stronger, more black teas that tend to cut grease. But it's really what you prefer. And I do have, in my chapter, the last chapter, I do touch upon teas, but like I said, it's just a quintessential liquid that we also have. The Chinese prefer to drink hot liquids rather than cold liquids. So lots of Asians that come over are really shocked about the icy drinks, even though I think that things are changing a bit because we've adopted these, boba drinks, boba drinks. These are the little bubble teas, and they're cold. and there's these smoothies and things that we're having. So, and I think that they're becoming trendy. And they've become trendy. And so, we're starting to enjoy, I think developing a Western palate in some ways. But, the traditional Chinese still will drink tea throughout a meal pretty much. And it's the liquid we will just go to. And also we feel that there's a medicinal quality to that. It's healthy. Yes. Anyone else? Well, nevertheless, I'll hang around a little bit, and if you wanted to do some one-on-one, we definitely can do that. Just I wanted to just let you know I do have a website, goodlucklife.com, and I have articles on the Chinese festivals there. There's a Chinatown reference guide for various Chinatowns, the largest ones throughout the North America, and then I have a little link for Ask Auntie Lau, and this is where cultural questions can be sent to her. And Auntie Lau is the old auntie. She's the wise old auntie that this knowledge that, has been kind of passed on from generation to generation. So thank you again very much for spending your lunch hour with me. It's been really enjoyable. Like I said, I'll hang out. And by all means, please enjoy the mooncakes. Thank you.